and welcome back to my channel. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Shannon Lee, and today I am back with another episode of the Great British Bake-Along. This week's episode was Biscuits. The challenges that the bakers did, they did the Florentines, they did coconut macaroons, and they also did like another biscuit challenge where they had to make like a meal or like a set, dinner set or something like that. But I'm not gonna do that dinner set because that showstopper was way too much work and I don't have that much time on my hands today. I am actually going to be doing the Florentines and I'm going to be doing a vegan version. I found a recipe from the website Oh She Glows and I'm just following their recipe. I think it makes about 18. It makes about 18 cookies and I know the challenge is to make 36, but I'm not a big fan of anything that really goes into these Florentines, so I'm not gonna make that many, and the time limit that I have is about 2 hours, and I know the bakers, like I said, they made 36 cookies in their challenge, but I'm only making 18. I know I can do it in the 2 hours, but again, I don't like these cookies, so we're not going to make that many because I have to eat these at the end of the day. So yeah, let's get into the video and see how this goes. So to get started with this recipe, I am going to weigh out 190 grams of sliced blanched almonds. I ran out of almonds, so I had to use some pecans to kind of get the right weight. And I am just going to chop these all up and add them back into that mixing bowl. Then I'm going to weigh out 25 grams of all-purpose flour. The recipe calls for gluten-free flour, but she said all-purpose flour should work just fine, so that's what I'm going to do. And then I'm going to take an orange and I'm going to add in the zest of 1 orange. The recipe only calls for 1 tablespoon, but I found that doing the entire orange was close to that, so that's what we're going to do. I am also going to be weighing out about 85 grams of coconut sugar. You can use cane sugar or any other types of sugar, but I had what she was calling for in the recipe, so that's what I used today. And then the recipe calls for fine grained sea salt, but I just used some regular salt. Just add a little bit in, and then I'm just going to mix this all up. And over on the stovetop, I'm going to be adding in my wet ingredients, which includes this Earth Balance vegan butter. It is the unsalted kind. I found it at Whole Foods. It's one of the best, and I absolutely love it for baking. The recipe calls for 2 tablespoons of brown rice syrup, but I didn't have that, so I'm just going to use some more of the apple butter syrup, leftover stuff that I have from when I made the apple butter a couple weeks ago, and hopefully it works. And then 2 tablespoons of canned coconut cream. The coconut cream is what settles to the top of the can before you mix it, so that's just what I'm going to add in here. We are going to let this simmer and come to a light boil, and I'm going to mix it around a little bit till that butter melts. Once it comes to a light boil, I am going to add in the vanilla extract and take it off the heat immediately. I didn't measure out my vanilla extract, but I added in probably about a teaspoon, probably 2 teaspoons, but it should be fine. It's just for flavor. At this point, it was definitely coming to a light boil, so I turned off the heat and removed the pot from the stove. Now I'm going to mix up this wet mixture and slowly add in my dry ingredients. It's going to be a little bit of a sticky mess, but that's fine. It will solidify a little bit more as it cools, so then we can use it more like a dough later. This is a close-up of my mixture after I added in the dry ingredients. Now that I have let this set for about 15 minutes and it's cooled down a bit, I am going to roll these out into little balls. I'm doing about a tablespoon. As you will see later, I realized they should have been smaller, but I'm going to do about 3 across, 3 wide on my trays. Just give them enough space because when they're baking, they will flatten out. Like, that is just a given. It's going to happen with this recipe. So definitely give them extra space if you can. put the Florentines in the oven. I am baking them at 275 degrees Fahrenheit, and I'm gonna bake them for about like 10 minutes, and then I'm going to rotate the pans because as you saw, I have one on a lower shelf, one on the middle. So after about 10 minutes, we're gonna rotate the pans. We're gonna kind of flip them around to make sure everything's baking evenly, and then bake them for like another like 7 to 9 minutes. That's what the recipe says. I am about a little over an hour, well, a little less than an hour into the challenge, probably like 50 minutes. So as you can see at this point, if I had made a second batch of these cookies, I probably would have been able to make the 36, but I just want to show you guys the time that we're at. So while I was waiting, I quickly reread the recipe for these Florentines, and I realized I was supposed to roll them into half tablespoon balls. So these cookies are double the size of what they're supposed to be according to the recipe. Well, I'm gonna increase the baking time just a little bit just to account for them being double the size. And technically, if I had done this right, I would have had my 36 cookies. It's fine. Like I said, I don't really like these things, so yikes. I mean, that was pretty good. Pretty impressed with that. Just gonna put that down here. I have a little pot holder already on a counter. I'm gonna move the other one up to the higher shelf. Flattened out so much better, so I'm just gonna, oh no. After taking them out, some of my Florentines kind of mushed together, so I was just using a spoon here to kind of fix them into perfect circles. This is what they looked like after I finished fixing them with a spoon, and now I'm just gonna let them cool, and eventually I will move them to some cooling racks to cool even more. So this was the point where I realized that my cookies were not gonna get that perfect snap that they asked for in the show. Instead, mine are definitely a little chewy and needed to bake a little bit longer. I think it was definitely because I made them too big, but oh well, we're just gonna go with it just so I can try and stay within the 2-hour time limit because that's what the challenge is. Over on the stovetop, I am going to start the double boiler situation to melt my chocolate. I'm using some dark chocolate and about half a teaspoon of some coconut oil. That is just going to help the chocolate drizzle a little bit better. It's going to be more liquidy because of the oil. And it will also help it set once I put it in the fridge or the freezer. I'm just going to use a regular spoon and drizzle my chocolate over my cookies. And I am doing this over my silicone mats so that the silicone mat will catch any of the excess chocolate that may drip off. Because I am starting to run out of time, I am placing the trays in the freezer to help the chocolate set. 5 seconds left. I've got one tray out of the cooler. Well, my freezer. I have another one in the freezer. And then, yeah, that is my 2 hours. And technically, I finished the challenge. I just need to put them on this little cutting board and make them look pretty. So let's do that real quick. In my defense, I did walk away and go upstairs on my computer for a few minutes while doing this challenge. And I did spend a few minutes trying to empty out the freezer and make room, which I know the bakers on the show would already have an empty fridge or freezer for cooling. So, oh well, I technically finished it in the challenge. They weren't great, but they are cookies and they look okay. Lastly, I am going to use some powdered sugar and do a nice little dusting all over the cookies. I am crouching down really weird on my counter, but here are my finished Florentines. They are fully vegan and they're kind of a mess. I don't think I baked them long enough. I think they needed to bake for like maybe 30-35 minutes using about a tablespoon of the mixture for each of the cookies, but I only did like 25-ish minutes. So if you're gonna ask, do they pass the snap test? No, they're still a little too chewy, and oh well. Certain parts of them are super crispy, but I can still say I'm not really a fan of these. I don't really like this type of cookie, but the orange and the chocolate is really nice, so. If you like this video, be sure to give it a thumbs up. That lets me know what kind of content you guys want to see. If you guys want to watch other videos in the series, I will link it up in the cards somewhere up here. Feel free to check those out. I have everything conveniently located in a playlist. I am uploading once a week for these Great British Bake-Along videos, and I'm also uploading every Monday and every Friday for my normal videos. So these are just kind of bonus videos right now while the Great British Bake Off is airing their season, so I hope you guys enjoy that. Don't forget to check me out on Instagram. My username is @SimplyShannonLee. I will put it right here on the screen. Also, go ahead and subscribe and hit that notification bell. That lets you know every single time that I am posting a video. And I will see you guys soon in the next video. Bye!